Welcome to Bonehead. This is a no topic episode. You're welcome.
Well, with every episode we go off on tangents. This is just a tangent episode where we didn't pick what tangent we were going to go off on.
Quite frankly, I'm tired, gentlemen. I have worked every weekend up until this last week. Actually, I've worked this past weekend. I had to drive to the damn holler and dig out the hole, and that's a long story.
Oh, did you get the body 6 feet, right?
Buddy, I wish.
Oh, you go further?
No.
How big a woman was it?
Mom was just standing next to the hole. I couldn't get her into it. And then it's supposed to be 3 feet deep, and I dug 2.5. Shh, don't tell the power company.
Oh.
So I'm
you moved the headstones, you say.
That's true. But we didn't get it. We got an episode last week, but we missed the week before, and we wanted to make sure we had an episode for you this week. We are trying to get some guests lined up. We spent a lot of energy on Comic-Con. For you all that showed up, I guess I could go down a list of people and try to thank them real quick. Don't you think, Chad? Brian and Dixie Combs, John Stith, Missy Stith, the Griffiths. By the way, if you listen to it, I'm shitting on the Griffiths because they haven't showed up. You and I are going back and forth.
Oh yeah.
And then they show up.
Yeah.
After we've called them assholes. The Griffiths. Spoiler alert, hopefully we'll be doing a live show from Scarefest that will be horror themed, that will have Laurel, even though I haven't asked her yet, and she will be more prepared this time. If you all in the bourbon, let's see, who else do we need to thank? Clay and his family, Helen and her husband. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go down a list. Can you think of anybody else, Chad?
Rachel and Dave.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
There's 20 people who had a good time. Well, there's 10 to 15 out of the 20 people who had a good time. Well, there was 10 people that got free drinks who had a good time.
Well, there was 5 people.
There was about 10 people who had free drinks. How's that go? Is that all right?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
No, but we really appreciate it. It's kind of slightly disappointing. I gave away more tickets, although I should have known this was going to happen to some people who didn't show. But that's okay. I understand. We'll do it a little differently next time. Back to no topic. We were talking about Better Call Saul before we rolled right into this, and James prefers Better Call Saul to Breaking Bad.
Well, no, I love.
And that's okay because I kind of you said it a few weeks ago, and I didn't disagree with you.
I love Breaking Bad, but I think Breaking Bad. The people that told me, "Oh, Breaking Bad, you see him slowly descend," and when I watched it, I was like, "Nah, he's not a great guy from the beginning."
I don't get that.
I disagree with that a little bit.
You
really?
Do?
A little. Why is he a bad guy in the first episode? He's got cancer. He's severely dead.
We're not talking. I mean, not the first episode, no, but he goes pretty quickly into.
No, I say from the first episode, watching him teach, it's obvious he doesn't care. He doesn't want to be a teacher. He doesn't he's passionate about the field, but he's just teaching because that's what he can do. The fallout.
You can say that about Chad.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, I am. This is a cry. This is your cry for help. This is your intervention. I tried to get other people to join me, but it turns out I'm all you all have.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree that it's that quick, but I need to go back.
I'm not saying he's not Darth Vader from the beginning, but he's pure as driven snow that some people tried to convince me. I'm like, no,
I don't know if I agree with that, but I don't see him as a bad guy.
No, he's not. But I mean, this idea that he was looking for an opportunity.
Well, and I say you see him escalate down pretty quickly. But sorry, James, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'll let you finish.
No. I mean, he's looking for an opportunity to do something, and he just doesn't care anymore. He doesn't. I mean, Bryan Cranston in his book. What's the name of his book?
It's a good book.
I'm blanking on it, but
I've read it, but I don't remember the name of the book.
He talks about
stories.
Yeah, he talks about the scene where he argues he turned the corner, which is when he lets spoilers. I guess if you haven't seen it, he lets
Jesse's girlfriend die, right?
Yeah. And my argument was, and again, he played the role, I guess but to me, as I was watching, I'm like, no, I mean, if he would have been, hey, a passionate teacher and volunteering and doing all this stuff,
but who would do that? That's for losers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We root for losers. He's not a loser, and
No,
that's it. Maybe
it's one of my favorite scenes.
maybe that's why the issue. Maybe that's the issue I have with it is that the part of it that is the most hard to reconcile is that he is stupidly successful and just makes bad choices.
Yeah, I
and that to me is villainous.
Yeah, it's at one of my favorite scenes at the end of it when he sneaks back into the apartment where Skylar's at, and she goes, "Yeah, shut the fuck," he's just screaming, "Shut the fuck up!" And he goes, "No, what it is I was good at it." I mean, I'm paraphrasing.
Well, and he has that entire line where
and most of us enjoy things. Most of us enjoy doing things right or wrong that we're good at.
Well, I was going to say, and he has that line later on that I think it's the same scene where he goes, and I also need you to know why I did it. And, before I did it for the family, but he finally says, I did it for me.
Yeah, same. That's the same scene. Yeah.
Yeah. And and that's really, and that to me was everything he did. I mean, there's nothing, obviously, before I ever saw that scene, I saw the first episode and I'm like, he's really self-motivated. I mean, it's really what he wants is what he sees. And he doesn't see other people. He doesn't see, yeah.
Yeah, no. And for me, the whole, why I think he's not good from the get-go. It's not from the first episode, mind you, because, but when he starts dealing with Tuco, and, that's when I see, oh, he's not a good guy. That whole, when he starts dealing with Tuco in season 1, played by Raymond Cruz, you could tell he was not a good guy.
Tuco, by the way, one in the plastic containers, right?
Yeah, the one who's in.
I'm trying to. It's been a long time since I saw.
Yeah, he's in the first few episodes of Better Call Saul. He's the main crazy guy who he ends up, gets in his breakaway into dealing with meth.
By the way, real quick, one of the most underrated actors. Honestly, I don't think he has more than 4 lines of dialogue, and he only appears in 4 or 5 episodes. Is one of Tuco's henchmen, the big guy. Mm-hmm. And it's, to me, I literally was like, oh my God, that's great. Is when everything goes sideways with Tuco when they're in the not junkyard.
It's been a while.
But they're in the junkyard, the car, whatever place. And the violence starts to break out between Tuco and one of his men. And there's that scene, and literally Walt starts to lean forward, and all the actor does, is he literally just puts his hand on his shoulder and he very subtly nods his head no. And he has 1 or 2 lines of dialogue before he gets crushed by a car. But I was like, it wasn't overplayed. It wasn't, and I literally, it just in that moment, that actor, I have no idea the name of the actor. I should look it up. But I literally just went, oh man, that is cool. It is just a subtle, and it goes to that point that the reason I bring it up is not that everybody's going to look up that actor and think I'm going to follow everything, but
would it be No Dose, James?
Maybe.
If it's No Dose,
lines, by the way, from Dragnet. Damn pagans living on No Dose. That's an obscure, right? Let's get on that tangent of 85's drag or 86's Dragnet. Harvey,
hold on. Real quick before you do, what No Dose is? If this is the same character, No Dose's real name?
No.
What?
I'm assuming it's Jesus, but it's spelled Jesus. Jesus Jr.
Well,
hell, him and Mary.
He can't get into any trouble. His old man's always watching.
Oh, sorry, Joe. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, Henry. Oh, shit. From MASH, Chad.
Morgan.
Henry Morgan.
Henry Morgan, yeah.
Damn pagans living on No Dose. I don't know why. It's stuck in my head.
Oh, I gotta tell you this story. I gotta tell the story. So this is no topic.
Breaking Bad's the best show ever.
Have you ever seen The Wire?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty damn good. I enjoyed it, but I love break. I need to go back and rewatch. But I'm telling you, real quick, ending this before you go on to your next topic. I completely understand because they're 2 different shows. I know they're about the same characters, but they're 2 different shows. And you're right. Although I think Saul is somewhat he's a victim of his own personality and his own.
Oh yeah.
And what is it? The Vincent Price. He is slightly a little bit.
He's a man besieged by fate. No, and
by some of his fate, but it's his defects. And I can't. I am so worried about Kim.
Well, and you root for Saul, or you root for Jimmy.
You
Slipping Jimmy.
You root for because he isn't really loved.
No, and that was
No.
the entire
Kim
thing.
is the only one who loves him.
The episode that I literally pivoted away from, and by the way, why am I blanking on the guy that plays his
Michael
McKean? Michael McKean. I literally, the scene that made me pivot to where no matter what, and I know what happens to his character now, but the scene where
don't ruin it for me because I haven't finished it yet.
You haven't watched. You haven't been through Michael McKean.
But when I had to take a break, I was on season 1, guys. So I am far behind.
But
I will say this: season 1 pulled me in so much. I was like, man, I'm actually enjoying this a little more than Breaking Bad.
I'll pay for your damn Netflix. Go ahead, Chad.
The scene, and Chad, this won't be a spoiler for you in any major way, because it's gonna, when you see the scene, it doesn't change anything major per se. It just shows you, as Joe said, how unloved he was, and how people that did love him all meet bad ends. There is a scene where, as his brother, watching their mother die in a flashback, she wakes up from her coma or whatever she was in, and she asks for Jimmy. He refuses to tell Jimmy that their mother woke up and that she asked for him.
Yeah.
Will not tell him. And I was like, from that point on, I was like, I don't care what happens to him. I don't care if Jimmy comes in, stabs him 14 times and urinates in the wounds. That guy's a jerk.
Yeah, I think Kim Wexler is the only person that shows him love, and kind of, as you go through the season, it's not giving anything away to Chad, who understands and sees him.
Yeah. Sees it, and knows that he has, and I think that's what makes him
he has love to give, but he's such a flawed person.
Well, and I think that's what makes him a compelling character, though, right? Because compelling characters to me are, and maybe that's why I do struggle more with, Breaking Bad, is that, as we were talking about before we started to film, he's up here all the time. He is a scientific genius. He worked for this huge company before he walked away. He had everything, and he just finds ways to give it away. Whereas to me, Saul, Jimmy, is the opposite side of the coin. He had nothing. His brother's hugely successful. And all he wants is a little bit, and every time somebody, and he is flawed.
He has to fight for everything.
Whereas, it's the difference between, and that's why they're two different shows to me, it's the difference between a character that has everything, and I'm going to sound like my dad for a minute, and I'm going to quote what my dad would say, and pisses it all away.
Yeah.
He has it all and pisses it all. Whereas Jimmy's story is, I just want, now the mistake that Jimmy makes is thinking that the next thing will be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's his, it goes back to his character flaw.
I have the same character flaw.
But
somewhat.
Yeah. Well, no, and we've all done the quote from Mr. Burns. I'd trade it all for a little bit more.
Character flaw. Yeah.
I think that's part of that is human nature, right? There's actually been a psychological.
It is, but it's a major flaw for me.
Well, there was a psychological study done about why billionaires can't give it away. Because you get addicted to thinking, well, next time, and there's actually a psychological. I'm forgetting who did the study, but this is so. Yeah, I think that's what makes it fascinating. I think what makes it a fascinating series of shows. And I say I like Breaking Bad. I think Better Call Saul is edging it out, though, because those characters, I guess those are the characters I know. Like, I've met Jimmy. I've never met somebody that had it all and pissed it all away, largely because those people don't talk to me.
Well, the thing is, when did you?
James just cussed.
Well, is pissing cussing?
Yes, for James.
Or is it just urinating?
It's James.
No, what I was going to say is he said.
Let me do one more dad quote. Better off than on.
Yeah. I've heard that. So Cranston said, he turns bad when he lets his girlfriend die. Every Tony Soprano is another good character like that of, where did you go, man? I'm done with Tony. And Tony's when he kills Christopher Moltisanti for me in that last season. And for me, with it's a combination of two characters, one that he got killed and the other one killed as Mike. And it's hard. And then he's sitting there realizing he didn't have to kill Mike in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Remember when they're beside the water? It's heartbreaking. Specifically because we love Mike, and Mike's a bad guy too. And
yeah, but again, if you put the full gestalt of Better Call Saul, I have a better understanding of where Mike's coming from. He is still terrible by the time we get to Breaking Bad. And like what he's willing to do is too far. But
my counter argument to you is that the other one, I get the preference. I don't know that it's a better show because I feel like we don't watch Cranston make probably as much of a character arc as we do other folks like Hank.
Oh yeah.
And Hank is for a character, we get to know him so much more, and he becomes so much more than a one-dimensional person that we can't stand in the first season to that three-dimensional where it just breaks your heart.
Yeah.
When he has that last line of you're the smartest person I know. How have you not figured out they're going to kill me?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's sorry. Anyway, I love that show. It's really good. I love good writing.
No, I have no regrets about watching.
They're both
no regrets
fantastic shows.
But yeah. By the way, what I got excited about is since we're doing a no topic show, Joe, this is a true story. So I was at a conference for educational historians, and it was after hours.
Are you going to make this movie or TV related?
Yes.
Okay.
And after hours, these things get crazy. You get educational historians together, man. It's God. Anyway,
a writer that was on our show that talked about being at a writer conference going, I get a pizza because people will hang out later, and I'll be like, I've got room pizza. Do you remember this?
Yes.
I'm trying not to laugh when they're telling me while we're interviewing. I'm not knocking them. It's just great. It's just the different people like,
oh yeah.
And I was doing rails on a stripper. No, a writer was, I got room pizza, guys.
Yeah.
Well, that's like going to my conference for data analysis, and the guy coming in going, we got really crazy last night. And he was talking about sitting up in the conference room drinking Cokes and singing Elvis karaoke.
So crazy.
They were so crazy.
Or as I told a joke about filleting a dog and ran out 30 people in a housing conference.
Housing, yeah, that was a good
Tell
time.
us your dirty joke, Joe. No, I don't think I should.
I will never forget. You literally said, no, you all won't take it well. No, we can handle it.
They could not handle it, James.
You told them 4 times at least that you did not want to tell the joke, and finally, I think one of them actually said something like, "Well, you just won't say it because you something basically implying that you were sexist or something." So finally, you told it, and they couldn't handle it.
They couldn't handle it. The thing I told them, I was like, "You guys are going to get upset. This is not a joke for you. This is a joke for people who are frankly
dead inside."
Cool.
What joke was it, Joe? Obviously, I don't want you to tell it, but
how a dog may try to do things to your leg and how to get it to stop.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It's the simplest 2-line joke, dirtiest joke I know. Stole it from a friend of ours called Craig Dennis. And I don't tell jokes for the most part. I have like a half a dozen jokes. You guys have seen me. You've seen me do things. You've seen me do here. I comment and I make funny things, but I don't necessarily tell jokes.
He keeps the Drew Carey's Dirty Jokes and Beer book in his.
I do have that book. It is over there on the shelf.
It is a great book.
I don't tell jokes for the most part. I'm not a very good joke teller.
I was gonna say mine is the soup joke, so I can't. That's another one I can't.
I'll have the soup.
Yes.
Yeah. I know what it is. And
Anyway,
it's a good one.
So
I also have the soup.
I was at this conference and the conference was kind of over.
Do you want that or the soup? And James says, I ordered salmon.
Yeah. So we're hanging out afterwards and talking and doing all this stuff and we're at a pizza joint. We're getting pizza, oddly enough, not room pizza, but we're having normal people pizza.
Room pizza.
Normal people pizza.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. We were at a pizza place.
Unless you're at a restaurant, where the else are you eating pizza? In a room.
Allie. Anyway,
technically, the restaurant is a room.
we were actually outdoors on the patio.
Having fisticuffs with that damn New York rat.
Rat. And don't even get me started on Bagel Rat. I'm about sick of his crap too. Anyway, here's where it ties to movie. All of a sudden, we're talking history. Oh, you're doing this. Hey, we should collaborate because we all need publication. And then all of a sudden, there's a lull in the conversation.
And you said, let me tell you, how do you get a dog to stop?
No. I said, somebody said to me, okay, what do you geek out about? Not what you study. And I was like, okay, we're getting into actually knowing one another, right? It's your what bug bit you joke.
Yeah.
And so it comes up and somebody says, hey, I said, well, I'm a big science fiction fan, Harlan Ellison and Star Trek and all of that stuff. And then somebody goes, oh, I love Doctor Who. My husband likes Star Trek. But we're doing different. And then somebody else goes, oh, I really love Renaissance fair. And it starts to go this way. Next thing that happens, Joe, I couldn't have scripted this. Somebody, and I did mention our podcast because, hey, maybe they'll watch. After they watch this episode where I'm telling the story, they will never watch again. But
no.
But
especially once
out of the blue, somebody says to me, of all people, "What's the weirdest movie you've ever seen?"
Oh God.
And I go, well, I mean, the worst is probably Man of Hands of Fate. And they go, oh, I know that. And then all of a sudden, it was like, have you ever seen that movie that with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd and them two weird twins?
Yes, we have.
I literally went nothing but
trouble.
Trouble.
Not only have we seen it,
we have lived it.
They screamed.
They are part of my family.
They screamed. I kid you not. That's my favorite movie. And I literally pushed back from the table and going, you're going to have to walk me through this.
Like, well, did you not drop and go, not only have we seen it, we had William Sandell, the production designer. And let me tell you a story about how Dan Aykroyd almost got Chevy Chase killed by the production crew.
Well, but by the way, did you know after that movie was over, Dan Aykroyd sent letters of apology?
To whom?
To the cast. True. I saw one online. Somebody had scanned this and put it up online, and it was sorry that didn't come together like I envisioned it. I really appreciate it. It's not your fault. But anyway, but I just thought that was so weird, and it's one of the reasons that I think shows like ours and just media in general actually matters so much, because I had never met any of these people before. In the world of educational historians, I know that it's shocking, but we're not exactly, we don't have the KISS army. A few of us in the grand scheme of things as a profession. And what are the odds that Nothing But Trouble is going to become a topic of conversation for probably a good 15 minutes? And by the way, I enjoyed every one of those 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's interesting, James. I've never had anyone bring it up to me. I've had people bring. People.
You could have knocked me over with the feather, especially when they went, "It's my favorite movie."
Yeah, that was different. I've never met anybody that was. Bill Sandell didn't say it was his favorite. Yeah. He just.
But when I actually said why, they said because there's nothing else like it.
That's true.
Have they seen Freaked?
Well, no, and that was their argument. Was there's movies that are in the same vein. But there's nothing that has that level of production value, that level of cast, that level that is that flippin' weird. And I was like, that's probably fair. That's probably fair. I'll
give him. I'm trying to think now.
It's an odd, big budget comedy, weird movie. I'll give him that.
Yeah. That has Digital Underground.
All right. So that kind of killed it there. I'm just mad that you didn't go off on a tangent about, have we seen it?
I can't, dude. I can only reference our show so much before people are like, yes, we get it. You have a podcast. You and every white 40-year-old man has a podcast.
Yeah, but not all of them has had Academy Award nominee Bill Sandell. Well, that's what else do we want to talk about?
I think we need to acknowledge the elephant in the room a week ago that we didn't have a show for.
I'm not that fat.
No, I think we need, gentlemen, what are your stance on Will Smith leaving the Academy?
Will Smith.
Yeah, it's
sorry, I had to. The hashtag when you post it.
on live TV. I'm with the people who go, "What do you mean you got to investigate?"
Yeah. By the way, I think
although
they
it
said
does
there
look
were.
staged.
I think there were 13 million witnesses. I don't know.
And it's still okay. Okay, for all of you, we did a little short segment for Good Movie Monday about the Oscars 2 weeks ago, right, gentlemen?
Yeah.
And
right.
just a shout out to Good Movie Monday and Glenn and Ben and our friends. But we did a short and we talked a little bit. I stopped giving two shits about the Oscars roughly 7 or 8 years, maybe 10 years.
Same here.
The last
Probably
time,
about that.
well, the last time Billy Crystal hosted it, it was awful. He was awful. It was the most boring show I'd seen, and I stopped to tune down. I haven't really paid any attention to it since. I have actually, since the kid was born, and this is unfortunate, and I know this is true a little bit for you too. I can't keep up with all the nominees. I can't watch all the movies.
And some of them we can't. Like, do you have Apple Plus to watch Coda?
I don't have Apple Plus.
I want to see it though. I did.
I want to see it.
I must admit, it looks good.
I will say that
I've heard good things.
I'll let Joe finish his statement then.
No, but I don't give two shits about the Academy Awards. And the fact that it's still the lowest rated one in modern day, with Will Smith slapping the taste out of Chris Rock's mouth, just goes to prove how, frankly, probably the movie industry is I don't want to say dead, but it's street. I mean, it's a news thing.
Not. Here, let me do it.
Independent cinema is streaming for the most part.
Let me do a parallel. The problem, what has happened to Hollywood, is what has happened to politics.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the days of you get voted out of office and you walk down the aisle, not that down the aisle, but next to your.
That's gone. It's gone. Civics is gone. We don't teach it and we don't learn it and we don't know how to do it. So he got up and smacked the shit out of Chris Rock.
And by the way, if you watch the replay, and lots of people are pointing this out, like he's laughing at the joke till he gets the look, and somebody's like, is that control? Is it? A matter of fact, Saturday Night Live. I don't know if y'all watch Saturday Night Live.
I watched Michael Che and both. I watched them talk about
Michael Che. I think his comment is that how are we supposed to know what's going on with everybody? Especially, I mean, you've told us about affairs, you've told us about open marriage, there's only so much. I don't know what I have anymore. Like, honestly, if you stop me and go, what all have you been diagnosed with, James? I'm gonna have to be like, hold on, let me pull up my chart.
Yeah, you have the right to get offended. You do not have the right to tell me to stop offending you.
Well, and the other part about that is, and some people are like, well, she does have a medical illness, and what got me was, so does Chris Rock. He has I'm gonna get the letters right.
Big mouthiness.
I think he wasn't diagnosed till 2 years ago, but it's basically it's an autism spectrum issue. And it turns out, and I'm not making this up, but I am simplifying it from the medical term, he can't read the room. He doesn't read.
Makes him a fantastic comic.
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
That's actually what he said. He said words I can do, but he doesn't read physical action. He legitimate, and that's what you mentioned that looked stage. What a lot of people have pointed out that knew about his diagnosis was when he saw Will Smith approaching him, whereas you or I or anybody else would have been like, oh, hell. His actual diagnosis means he doesn't interpret physical movement like normal people, not normal. It is a form of neurodivergence, as a neurotypical individual would. In other words, if I see anybody coming at me and I've just made a joke about them or anybody near them, I'm going to assume, oh, hell, and do this, or more likely, run as fast as my fat butt can.
Can we agree to fuck Will Smith? He can.
No.
That was national TV because his wife got her feelings hurt. And Ricky Gervais had the best comment. Would you have done the joke? No, I'd have made a joke about her boyfriend.
Yeah. Well, and actually, that was the thing. Amy Schumer.
And I would have been. She's talked about it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, you put it out in the open. It's fair game. I mean,
and fuck celebrities.
Well, and that's
it's the entitlement thing.
The entitlement of it. The fact that he could walk up and smack shit. I mean, fuck him.
But I think it just blows my mind because, again, to me, it's the same issue we have with politics. We can no longer disagree without physically demonstrating that we disagree.
Yeah, I know.
Whether
Civility is
that
helpful.
I'm going to show up and I'm going to protest, and I'm all for protest, peaceful protest. I understand that. But if your idea of it's not a protest unless I throw something, yeah, that's a problem.
Also,
See-
life isn't about win-win. Sorry, Chad. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say my big problem with it. So I am strongly in the category of I don't give a crap. I don't. It shouldn't have happened. I hope Will Smith receives some sort of repercussions. Him withdrawing from the academy doesn't mean shit. It just means he can't vote.
Doesn't mean shit to
It
anybody.
doesn't mean a damn thing.
Nobody out here on the street trying to make out a living gives two fucks.
Yeah, he withdrew from the academy. Ooh.
Who cares?
But I tell you what impacted me is the aftermath, and it's something I didn't even think about. There were several comedians who tweeted they're now afraid to do stand-up because when Joe Schmo sees that Will Smith, this guy that they idolize as this big tough guy, goes up and does whatever he wants, smacks the shit out of a comedian. If they're if that guy is in the theater with the comedian and the comedian says something that they don't like, they now feel entitled to go up there and punch that comedian.
Yep.
I think Patton Oswalt said something about it. I forget. I'm blanking because it's been a few
Tom
days.
Segura's went off about it too, Chad.
Yeah. It's just
It sets a horrible precedent.
Yeah, it does. And like now I am worried that one of my joy, I don't enjoy going to concerts. I don't enjoy my biggest thing about no, I don't enjoy theater. I don't enjoy music, but you put me in front of a good comedian live, and that is some of the best live entertainment I have ever experienced. Most of my fond memories of going to a live performance are comedians. It's not going to a concert or going to a play. It's seeing people tell jokes. And I'm just wondering if in the long run, I don't think it will. I don't think this is not going to impact it that much, but what will it impact? That was my big concern. After seeing all those tweets, I'm like, holy shit.
Entitled bastards and people applauding an entitled bastard at the Academy for smacking the shit out of Chris Rock is a bunch of other entitled bastards.
And it was not even a good joke. And that just pisses me off more than anything. It's like he got smacked for something that wasn't even funny.
Real quick, by the way, is NBLD, nonverbal learning disorder, is what Chris Rock has. But this actually ties into what you're saying, Chad. Did you hear, did anybody see where Amy Schumer was interviewed after it was all over?
Yeah, and she compared it to, yeah.
What'd she compare it to?
James?
I don't know that part. I was going to talk about how frustrated she was talking about with the Academy and stuff like that. Is what I was
go for that now. Go for that. Go and I'll look up because I'm blanking on what it was.
So she, they interviewed her after the show, and one of the things that she said was it was amazing to her. She said, "Hey, it took all the air out of the room." Like I watched the broadcast because I only get one channel. It happens to be the one it was on. But she comes in later, and literally when she has to come back on stage, she said, "So anything happened while I'm gone?"
Right.
I mean, what are you supposed to follow that up with? But, she made the comment that the Academy is so worried about what the hosts are going to do. So she said they had to submit all their material in advance. They can't be spontaneous. And they made her cut a joke about a shooting accident. The joke, it wasn't a very great joke anyway, but it was basically about we're all looking down the barrel of something. Let's just make sure it's not Alec Baldwin's gun.
Well, I get it.
And the other joke that she was going to make was, she was going to, and she did it later on. She did it later in interviews. But when she found out what had happened, she was going to go back out and call Will Smith a Lee, and they told her not to do that. And so it's interesting to me, going back to that entitlement thing, was you did have 3 female comedians hosting it, and what they said had to be monitored, had to be approved, had to be all of that stuff. But you didn't cut the cameras for an assault between where two grown men were involved, one smacked the other one. I mean,
And then they cut. I honestly, I cared so little about this. I didn't investigate it. Didn't they even cut to Will Smith cussing in?
Yeah,
They
the-
cut the audio. They cut the audio.
but
Because
it-
the kids went, "What happened, Dad?" Because they were visiting for spring break.
well, they cut the audio, but it went live to Australia, like
Australia,
and a
yeah.
bunch of other people. More than just Australia, but other countries.
But yeah. But
Got
so
the
they cut the
whole
audio, and my
Keep my
kids were
wife's
only
name out of your fucking mouth.
yeah. My kids were only half paying attention to the show. They wanted to see the Encanto performance. They wanted to see the musical part.
Oh, don't get me started about. I will bitch about the Encanto performance in a moment.
We'll get to it, Chad.
Oh, so angry.
Hold your anger.
I don't have any. You guys really pay attention to this.
Well, no,
Dude,
there's a story.
I
There's
get-
a story.
I
There's a
get
story about the
this
Oscars.
many channels, Joe, and my kids were in, and they were like, "Can we watch something on TV?" And then they realized there was going to be the Encanto performance, which was supposed to be the first live performance, and we're still waiting for it.
Oh God, yeah, dude.
All right,
knew-
go
I knew-
ahead.
Do it, Chad. Pull the
Okay,
trigger.
so my daughter, my youngest daughter, 6 years old, loves Encanto. She loves it so much that she can literally sing lyric for lyric every single song in that movie. And I read,
But she does talk about Bruno, so that's a strike against her.
And I read that there was going to be a performance of We Don't Talk About Bruno live. And she was excited. And she's like, Daddy, can we please watch the Oscars? Now, I am like Joe. I haven't watched the Oscars in almost 10 years. I don't enjoy it. I find it boring. I don't care about celebrities getting up there when they accept their awards to talk about their political beliefs or whatever. I just don't care.
However, if we get nominated,
I will go up there and talk about my liberal agenda left and right.
we're going to go up there and talk about our agenda.
Can we, when we do that, I'm going to reconvert back to hard right just so we can fight on stage now. Cause that'll get us, we'll be in the trades the next day.
I mean,
It'll be like, oh, Bonehead has falling out as they realize different political opinions.
Yeah, that would be funny, but we would win one of those that they wouldn't do at the actual Oscars now because we don't actually give, awards to editors who put the actual movie together. Sorry, that's another.
Yeah.
No. It's
no. So anyway, yeah.
Go ahead.
Anyway, my daughter, I said, I don't know when it's going to air. I actually tried to look for a schedule so I didn't have to watch it. I could not find it. So we ended up watching the Oscars for about 2 hours, James, if I'm not mistaken.
2 out of 3.5. Yeah. You watched the first two.
Now I did get to see the acceptance of guys. I've blanked on the guy who won for supporting actor for Coda, which actually
was phenomenal.
It brought me to tears. His speech. So I got to enjoy that, and I did enjoy some of Wanda and Amy and Regina Hall. Some of their jokes, I enjoyed that. But I was like, I'm watching the Oscars. Why the hell am I watching this? And then all of a sudden, here it comes. And they sing all of 4 lines before it becomes a melody about the fucking Oscars.
It did. And they rap part of it, which I'm perfect. By the way, I love rap. I own several rap albums. I did not expect that. I was like, oh, it's going to be, okay. No, it's not.
Yeah. I was like, oh, there they are. There's a Beatrice. There's Diane Guerrero. This is going to be great. And then all of a sudden they stop singing it. And my 6-year-old daughter literally gets up, slams her pillow on the ground and yells, "What was that?" and walks upstairs.
What was that happy horse
right
shit?
there, right there.
Did she say that?
How
do you get out of this chicken shit outfit?
I went up there saying the exact same stuff my 6-year-old daughter was. And I'm like, I'm acting like her. That is ridiculous. You sit there and advertise that a Bruno song was coming, and it wasn't a Bruno song. It was a song about talking about the Oscars, which I now don't ever want to do again.
By the way, speaking of which,
just don't care.
Two things about that. How many times in what you saw, Chad, did they work in the fact that Lin-Manuel Miranda wasn't there?
Yeah.
Like it was, he's not there. And like they even worked it into the song. They even worked into Lin-Manuel's not here. Like it was one of the lyrics. And I was like, by the way, though, the flip side is I bet when it was all over, Lin-Manuel Miranda was like, man, I'm glad I didn't go.
Yeah, I did. So I didn't even actually see the Will Smith thing because I turned it off right after that. And I don't know when that came on. I just didn't care.
So let's get back to what we really should be talking about. You need to teach your 6-year-old daughter that everything in life that she gets mad about or wants to talk about, she can use a line that Bill Paxton says in Aliens, and it'll fit perfectly.
Game over, man.
Game over, man. Game over. How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit?
By the way, I actually saw an
Someone
article.
said, sorry, there's a whole other horrible joke in there too.
I saw an
We're on
entire
an express
article.
elevator to hell. Chad, have you taught her that?
No, I'm not.
See, this is what happens when you take the liberal arts out of the school, Joe.
I'm agreeing. And this would be fixed if we still taught civics.
I made her sleep. I made her sleep in the closet that night for making me watch 2 hours of the Oscars. That's what I did.
That night, right? 2 inches of water and low voltage.
Voltage, fix everything. You know, but I really don't know. I'll tell you what, actually, somebody said this, and I think honestly, I was like, yeah, it's true. It's 100% true. Somebody made the comment, and it was actually a critic on Twitter, not an actual critic who just happens to have we're all critics on Twitter, but an actual movie critic made the comment that they were disappointed in the Oscars because Pig didn't even get mentioned.
Well, Pig was a really good movie.
God,
And that's
it was so
it.
good.
That's what they were saying. They were like,
won an Oscar,
this is,
but it was pretty. It's
Well,
Nicolas Cage's best performance in a long.
their argument was.
I would have to go look through them all, but I think you said it, and I agreed with you. I don't think Leaving Las Vegas was his last great performance, even though he's had a lot of an adaptation, maybe.
I love Pig. Pig was a good movie because I didn't necessarily see where it was going the whole time.
Yeah.
And on top of that is his performance is so nuanced and just.
Okay, two corrections to myself. I think Adaptation and Matchstick Men are two amazing.
Oh, Matchstick Men's a really.
And Weatherman. Shit.
Weatherman's another really good movie that no one
Well, anyway,
talks about.
To the point. So the critic basically made the comment was, and maybe you feel Pig doesn't deserve, but the argument that the critic made was this film was original.
Yep.
It was unique. It was all the things that the Oscars used to value.
Right.
I did. If you didn't know anything about Pig from the moment you watch it, because you don't even know what century he's in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I mean, Pig is. I had no idea how that movie would play out.
But anyway, so that was the argument. Was it was the type of film that used to the Oscars would care about. It wasn't a biography. It was a film that celebrated how film can capture emotion. Was his argument.
Yeah.
And so, but having watched it, all I could think is, if Pig or Nicolas Cage was nominated, we would have got an interesting speech. It would have been, it might not have been your thing, but we wouldn't have got what we got this time.
Well, or Mandy. I like Mandy.
Mandy. Oh God.
But it's probably not necessarily just because Nicolas Cage is the filmmaker. It's just got such an original voice.
Oh well, and the lady that plays Mandy, I'm blanking on her name.
Oh, she
deserved an Academy Award nomination. And I'm not even saying a horror award. That the way she plays that character.
Yeah.
The two people that year that I thought deserved either Best Actress or Best Supporting, however they want to divide that up, was her and the girl the lady
Andrea Riceborough.
Yeah. And Chad, if you know this one, look this one up too. The lady who played the sister on White Boy Rick, which I saw in theaters. I think I was one of 12.
I watched White Boy Rick a few weeks ago.
The sister, the lady that plays the sister, does a phenomenal job with that role.
Did you see it, Chad?
No, I haven't seen White Boy Rick.
White Boy Rick is a fascinating.
It's a good movie. Don't break your neck.
Don't break your. But I'm glad I saw it in theaters because then I went back and read the actual case, and because a lot of times you hear based on a true story, I went back and read the actual case. That's awful close, folks. Yeah. I mean, his dad didn't look like Matthew McConaughey, but other than that, what they allegedly put that kid through, and that he willingly did too. I mean, again, going back to Slippin' Jimmy.
I'm just looking at the names. I'm assuming you're talking about Belle Powley.
Yes.
So.
Did a phenomenal job with that role. Those were both actresses that I immediately went, they need to do more stuff, which very rarely do. I enjoy a film, but very rarely do. I'm like, I want to see. It's kind of like Samara Weaving, right? Like I would, if I had the power, I would cast, and both of those, the way they played those roles, I would have cast them in something else if I had that authority.
Yeah, I was going to say about the real quick, and I'll get off the Oscars after this. Here's what will make me watch the Oscars again. If they go, okay, this year we are not going to nominate any biopics, and we are not going to nominate any period pieces. I'm like,
By the way, in the back of my mind,
attention.
in the back of my mind, the Chad Jennings story script just got canceled. He says no biopics.
That would be about all of 10 minutes.
No, we could spend an hour and a half just talking about your colon.
Yeah.
Now, can we talk about briefly, and then we'll get off this because we got to get off the Oscars so that we all. But
you keep saying getting off on the Oscars.
The two that were voted on. How the hell did Zack Snyder flicks get win?
So how does that work, gentlemen? Because I didn't watch it.
They opened it up.
Army of the Dead got best audience film. How does that happen? Because
how does that happen? Because that movie is a piece of shit.
And the most crowd pleasing scene being the Flash scene.
Flash getting the Speed Force, which is not even. There's nothing there.
I'm like, honestly, my only assumption. And by the way, I'm not saying those scenes didn't pack some okay. The Army of the Dead one's weird. I don't get that at all. But the Flash scene, you've got to do this. Okay, for what it is, that's a fine scene. But amongst all the other scenes you could have picked as fans, even if you just narrowed it to superhero films, that would have been number 5.
I'm trying to remember what were the scenes that were nominated.
And I have a scene from Ghostbusters Afterlife, because if it didn't, then I don't.
One of them was, and by the way, it's the scene. This is you talked about.
Ghostbusters Afterlife wasn't even on the list.
No, didn't even make any of them.
Well, then they're
the scene, by the way, where that's actually the time. So you told when your child got mad. My son, when they did that scene, this was actually my son's response. So they showed, and like 3 of them are superhero films for crowd pleasing, your favorite crowd pleasing scene. The last one's a Flash scene. That series of clips ended, and my son was sitting there and he goes, "What the, Dad, that's not even top 20." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Dad, come on. We all can agree for the sheer in the theater shock of it. It's a Spider-Man scene, right?" And I said, "I can't argue with you."
Oh, you know what? Boy's got a point as far as, but the unfortunate thing is it was ruined for you.
Well, but at the same time, knowing it's going to come, and then actually seeing it, and again, I'm glad I got to see this on the big screen. That scene the scene that they used was when they all web up, and they land on the structure. And by the way, Silas maybe has seen Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1, 2. He's seen one of the Andrew. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
If he had never seen them, it's, oh my God, 3 Spider-Man from across different ages and all that stuff. I mean, Silas was sold. He loved it. And so when he did the Flash one, he was like, oh, and by the way, he went on to say, he goes, "Now, Dad, I love the Flash," because he does. He loves, but he goes, "But come on, Dad." And I'm like, "Son, I didn't vote." Actually, that's why I screamed. I finally said, "Son, didn't vote. Did not know this was a thing."
Can I have Will Smith? Can I have Will Smith?
No, but what kills me is, you know what it even beat? And this is I couldn't remember, but then I looked it up, and this is what pissed me off more than anything. Is the Flash Enters the Speed Force beat Avengers Assemble?
Yeah. Because
it was number 3.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, the 3 Spider team up was number 2. And this is talking about the cheerworthy moments of all cinema.
No.
Joking, no. Right? Avengers Assemble, though, that actually got me excited. None of these other ones on the list got me excited.
Well, it's not just the Assemble. It is when it starts when the hammer is coming back and it hits his hand, and then everybody comes through, and it's Avengers. And yes.
No. It's when it's doing that pan, and you hear Avengers, and you know it's coming. And then the hammer hits his hand, and he catches it, and he just grittily says, "Assemble." I was in a theater in the middle of nowhere with 5 other people. I stood up and said, "Yes." Justice League didn't do that to me. Justice League pissed me off for for depending on which version you're going with, I'm going to go for the 3-hour version. It pissed me off for 3 straight hours.
So, but isn't that scene the one where he goes super fast? Isn't that done even slightly better in an X-Men film
Yes,
by Quicksilver?
by Quicksilver.
Am I wrong?
No,
Yeah,
In my opinion?
it's not. Is it X-Men First? It's not X-Men First Class. It's the next one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that scene's better in that movie.
Oh yeah, the Speed Force versus Bryan Singer's version of Quicksilver running.
I
Quicksilver
would
beats-
prefer Bryan Singer's Quicksilver running.
Yeah, versus Zack Snyder's. Both of those pissed me off because Zack Snyder does not deserve that kind of credit. His movies are terrible.
So what
Sorry.
else is next?
Sorry.
We went 45 minutes into
Breaking Bad in the Oscars.
That's the best show
knew.
of all time. Of the Oscars suck.
But by the way, hashtag this Will Smith, and they'll see how many views we get.
I have every intention of it, but I didn't know we
But-
were going to talk about Will Smith.
Oh God.
I
By the way, I don't know
I
what'll
thought
get
I
it.
might fill 5 minutes, but I'm glad I started something.
I don't know what would cancel us more. Our thoughts on Will Smith or my thoughts on Zack Snyder.
I mean, fuck them both. I mean, the only difference is that Zack Snyder, to my knowledge, hasn't walked up and assaulted anyone. I mean,
Yeah, I think Zack Snyder
eyeballs,
might be a legitimate good guy, but
I
his
think
movies,
Zack Snyder is.
Well,
is
here's
not a
the
bad
deal,
film.
by the way.
I just didn't particularly care for Army of the Dead.
Well, and that's the entire thing. Like, it's okay that I don't enjoy your movie. I'll probably, by the way, the next thing Zack Snyder does, I'll probably watch.
And
maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll like it.
I was
right?
gonna say 300. That's why I
Dawn
said
of
Zack
the
Snyder
Dead.
Zack Snyder for me has made 2.5 good films, 1.5 good films.
I kind of like his Watchmen.
Oh God, sorry, 2.5
Yep.
good films.
See,
Two
I mean,
and a
that's
half.
what I mean.
That's
And I
He
like
has done
seeing-
enough, and I think that's what makes it harder, right?
well, that's kind of like
Okay, let's say hypothetically, hear me out on this. Let's say hypothetically, you were going to watch Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Or not Dawn of the Dead, Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
And let's say, okay, because you know what Zack Snyder has done before that you've enjoyed, you have a certain expectation.
Yes.
Now, let's say, imagine you watched Army of the Dead and the credits rolled and it said directed by Uwe Boll. What would you say? Best Uwe Boll film?
Yes.
yeah.
See
Yes.
what I mean? The problem
I would be,
is-
where is Uwe Boll's sense of humor? Actually, I would be like,
that's
I would
true.
be-
You'd be like, oh, it's
because
it's
Uwe-
production that's different. But yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah. it'd
Well,
be-
it's like I said, you could shit on Paul W.S. Anderson too as being a terrible movie director, but he gave us Mortal Kombat, Event Horizon, and Soldier, and Death Race,
out
which
of
is
those
which is a fairly
4
entertaining
movies,
film.
there's a 1.5 good movies.
But I enjoy them, so I'm like,
I
can't-
enjoy Kurt Russell's performance. I do not enjoy the movie Soldier.
so
I'd have to go
it-
back and watch it, Chad. But
yeah.
the performance is just burned in my brain.
But I think that's the performance makes the movie, though. That's why I give it. That's
It's
why I
just
give
so
it a
bad.
pass.
and that damn green snake, just so
Hold on.
stupid.
hold on.
Yeah.
I think the author makes the movie.
Yeah. We wrote
Anyway.
some shit
Well, if
too,
you're Michael Crichton, maybe.
maybe.
Oh, I see what you did there. Hey, so as we veer away from Oscars and their
Well, and also let's try to keep it at an hour. So
well,
keep
no.
it-
What I
keep
was
it
gonna
less
say,
than
what I was gonna say is, knowing that we've all been disappointed by selections and various things. I gotta be honest. There's 2 things coming out that is gonna make me get my butt into theaters again. It doesn't matter how bad things get. I've already said no. I don't care if I have to sell plasma. I don't care if I have to walk off of work. I don't care. There's 2 movies that I'm going to
Sonic
go
2.
see. You know what? Actually, 3. No, I like Sonic. The first movie was
I
10 times
do
better than
too.
Eddie
I have
Wright
to take
to
my
be.
kid to it.
And
Yeah,
and by the
same
way,
here.
the fact Jim Carrey is doing a sequel and that he is leaning full tilt into how crazy the character of Robotnik is, kudos.
He said
I
he
heard
wanted to make the mustache bigger. It's actually it was the other folks who the director is like, I don't think it should be that much bigger. And he goes, no, let's make it bigger.
No, by the way, though, I read somewhere, and I don't know if it's true because it was a pop-up and I closed it, but that he may consider retiring. Which I'm like, God,
he says he's done it all.
Yeah, he says he's done unless a good script comes along.
which means I need to get that great script that will finally unite Daniel Day-Lewis and Jim Carrey. Anyway, the two movies I'm waiting for, gentlemen, that honestly just appeal to the fanboy in me completely. I've watched every trailer that's came out. I've watched every for both of these. I cannot wait for Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
I want to see it, but it doesn't look as much Sam Raimi as I hoped it would. But keep going.
Yeah.
And I have to see The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Which, by the way, have you watched the trailers? They're just calling it Massive Talent now, and then at the end you see the whole title. They're just calling it Massive Talent, which annoys the shit out of me.
Have you seen some of the online only ads for it, Chad?
No.
Oh, they literally begin with "Get ready for the cage assaults." They build the term "cage" into everything. This movie isn't getting released; it's getting uncaged, then recaged, and then. And I'm like, oh my God, it is everything I want it to be already.
Yeah,
like,
that I'm dying to see it.
The movie can't disappoint. And I think it comes out, is it the end of this month?
April 22nd.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I literally have already got it booked. And I'll still be here for when Doctor Strange comes out. So I'm like, both of them, I'm just going to treat myself. I'm going to go. I'm going to really enjoy them. Because that's what I realized was I don't, I mean, there's some other movies I wanted to see, but I'm like, no, these are the ones. And I think it's fascinating that, you know, people say whatever they want to say about Nick Cage, but there was that time when, you know, Nick Cage was the $20 million actor, The Rock, Con Air. I think what he's been doing since then, and by the way, I love those movies, but
it's more interesting.
It's much more. I mean, Pig, his Color Out of Space, Mandy.
He even said, you know, he's paying off debt, and not all of them worked, but he gave it his all.
Yeah, and that's the entire thing, and that's what I appreciate is that not every Nick Cage movie is great, but Nick Cage is in every movie that he's in.
Yeah.
Even if he's doing it to pay off debt, he's not just phoning it in.
That's probably not a bad way to end it. Chad, what are you looking forward to?
No, I mean, we talked about this in the year recap. Everything all at once. I'm sorry, Massive Talent. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm really trying to figure out to get to the theater to see Everything Everywhere All at Once. I am dying to see that movie.
I want to go see X.
I've heard good things about it. Yeah.
Which one, X or Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I want to see X.
I've heard good things about both, actually.
I like Ty West's other movies. They're not always the greatest thing, but he is what I call I hate using the word voice, but he does have that's a Ty West film. And it's just the same we've talked about when we've defended Rob Zombie's. Like, you didn't like it, but you knew that was a Rob Zombie movie, and it by God didn't look like anybody else's movie.
Yeah,
right?
It had some grit to it. It had his unique brand of grit.
The only thing I've ever seen of his that I thought this is god awful and we shit all over was the 3 from Hell, because it was pointless. But everything else, not so much. But Ty West, I'd like to see X. But I'm also Sam Raimi has a movie coming out. Gotta see it. Going to see it. Did you guys see the fan art poster?
Yes. Yeah, where it's the hand coming.
Chad, have you seen it?
No.
Fan art part. Oh, you gotta check it out. It's Evil Dead, but it's Scarlet Witch being pulled down and as the girl.
Oh, that's awesome. I bet you, like I said, we could go on a whole tangent, which we're trying to wrap up, but about how God posters aren't fun anymore.
No, it's not been fun in forever.
Yeah.
Ever.
What kills me is Marvel posters could be so superhero movies posters could be so amazing, and all it is a collage of the actors on them.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm just like, no, thank you. Yeah. So to use the fan art for their movie posters. Quit letting marketing people in Hollywood put them on.
Well, now, in all fairness, a little bit of defense for Multiverse of Madness, all the Easter eggs that are allegedly, if fans are correct, that have been built into it, I have to give them some talent, some credit for having the talent to squeeze things in there if they actually end up being in the movie. Real quick, and I know we said we were going to wrap up, but I do want to acknowledge something that is a little bit of a downer, but that's what I do. Bruce Willis.
Yeah, I thought you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Dang. Can I be
an asshole about this?
Well,
I can be an asshole about a lot of things.
Yeah, you kicked me at my bar mitzvah. I didn't even have a bar mitzvah. You
didn't
made
have
me
a bar
one.
mitzvah.
You made me have one. Then you just had it so you could kick me, you freak.
Go ahead. What were you
Yeah,
going
he
to
said Mazel Tov and broke that McDonald's tumbler over your forehead.
We're all three Bruce Willis fans, right?
Yeah.
I like Bruce Willis, but here a couple. Okay, so I'm going to say something negative in a second, but I must admit, somebody was talking today about, or yesterday was talking online with me, and made the comment about the Foo Fighters drummer Taylor,
Yeah.
and about, what makes this hard is these are people that you grow up with. I mean, even though you never know them, you grew up listening to their music, you grew up watching them, and I thought, oh, that's true about Bruce Willis. I mean, I remember my parents talking about moonlighting, and then I remember watching Die Hard with my father, and it becomes this piece of Bruce Willis wouldn't know me from anybody. And quite frankly, if Bruce Willis walked in my door, I'd be like, what are you doing here? That being said, it gets to this point where you do wonder, about these people and aging and getting ill and all of that stuff and what it means for our culture. Because even though I argue there's about 2 good Die Hard films and only one of them is good all the way through, there's
With a Vengeance, right?
Yeah, that one. No, it's Live Free or Die Hard. Are you kidding? Anyway, anyway, I say that somewhat jokingly, but and he had been doing a lot of direct to DVD and all that stuff. But I mean, people enjoyed it. He gave people enjoyment. Now, the flip side of this, and before you say your evil thing, Joe, let me be one of the rare times that I'm going to say something evil before you say it. This has also made me think about Harlan Ellison.
Yeah.
And let me clarify why it made me think about Harlan Ellison. Harlan Ellison, in his introduction to his original script, To City on the Edge of Forever, began a comment, because when that got published, Gene Roddenberry had passed away. And he began the comment with, I know they say to say no ill of the dead, but I'm going to, because he was a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
The flip side of this is that I appreciate the works of Bruce Willis and I appreciate the works of Kevin Smith, but I know what Kevin Smith has said working with Bruce Willis was like. And then as soon as he was diagnosed, I saw Kevin Smith, they posted like, oh, Kevin Smith sends well wishes to, and I'm like, didn't you say?
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. Kevin came out and said, I'm so sorry. I probably shouldn't have said all that, blah, 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 blah. But here's the deal. That was 10 years ago. Bruce Willis has 30 years of being an asshole story.
Yeah.
Sybil Shepherd. I mean, you could go.
30 years of being an asshole before he got sick. And the fact that he's sick is tragic, and I hate it for him and his family. I just don't know that everybody should just go, whoa. I shouldn't have said that about Bruce, because a lot of these stories go back a long time.
Yeah.
And real quick, Stephen C. Miller, who directed him in 2 movies, one of them shot in Cincinnati, and he's been on the Bonehead. So go back and listen to Bonehead Weekly's episode, because we asked him about this, guys. You remember this? Mm-hmm. We asked him about him and John Cusack and doing these movies, and about he didn't feel that they weren't given it all, that they just, he had them for such a small time, they didn't really understand or get the character. Do you guys remember this? And then he posted the other day defending Bruce a little bit, going, I knew. And I've thought about going back and listening to that episode, but I haven't yet, and seeing if you can pick up on it. But I just don't know. Does it forgive 30 years? I mean, I don't. Bruce Willis did nothing to me.
Yeah, isn't there stories? I'm talking out of my ass because I didn't know we were going to talk, and I don't. So isn't there a story about how, like, there was Game of Thrones was filming, and it was where near Bruce Willis lived, and they specifically asked people to, not enter the area where they were shooting because of how much the budget was, and he was purposefully getting on his boat and driving past.
It doesn't shock me.
I need to, while we're talking, I'm going to look it up, because I believe there's stories of him driving his boat not only into the shots, but making it so loud that it ruined any chance that they could recover the audio. Yeah, so that's Bruce Willis.
Another one's Kevin Smith, and I think it's the best story he told about him back when he would talk about him. is that they were standing beside the road. I'm going to do this quick. This is for you all. It sounds like we're shitting on Bruce Willis. We're not. We're huge. We've never met him. Just like everyone has a bad Shatner story. He was fine to me.
Nothing but nice to me.
And by the way, Ron Perlman, a lot of people have Ron Perlman stories. Ron Perlman was nothing but nice to me last weekend.
No, and seriously, Bruce Willis, I'm never going to shit on Bruce Willis because he has been one of my favorite actors since I was a kid. He brought me so much joy. I will never badmouth him.
However, here's a story from Kevin Smith. So we're about to do it. He and Kevin were standing beside the road, and all of a sudden, hey, Die Hard, blah, 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 blah. John McClane as they're going by. And Kevin says he looked at him and said, doesn't that make you feel good? You've done something that from this point on, the people, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not doing it justice, who people are going to remember of giving them some sort of entertainment. He goes, oh man, it drives me crazy. Can't stand it, especially the Die Hard ones. And that was kind of how he felt about his fan base.
Hold on.
So go ahead, Jeff.
So it you know what scene it was from Game of Thrones? What? It was where the mountain faces Oberon.
Oh, really? He kept his boat?
And he, since Game of Thrones is set, it would make much more sense for modern boats to occupy the sea. When we scouted the amphitheater, there were all these yachts out front. So we needed to make a deal to make sure that the yachts weren't there when we filmed. They all backed out a quarter mile so they wouldn't be in the shot. Everyone agreed to do it except one person. Accounts from those in attendance that day recall the actor's yacht circling the amphitheater where they were filming as if to say to Grace, fuck you, I'm in your shot.
Why?
However, Willis's yacht rage-induced efforts were in vain. They said Willis just made a fool of himself.
but by the way, and you brought up an interesting point with William Shatner, and maybe there is a parallel, because if you read, Shatner has done a series of books, some of them autobiographical, but one that he did is called Get a Life, taken from his famous appearance on. And in that book,
They're Not Live, 1986.
Yeah, in that book, he talks about, because he's promoting Star Trek,
the whales.
Yeah, 4. Anyway, but in that book, he said something that made me think about was that it took him a long time to come to terms with fandom. That, to him, for a while, it was a job, and he appreciated the fans, but at the same time, as that skit actually shows, and that's why he named the book, that was, these people that would learn more about him than he knew about him, that would know. Yeah. And he said that it freaked him out. And so he, and I'm paraphrasing what he talks about throughout the book, was it became a love-hate thing, and then it became a just leave me alone thing. And he said it wasn't until, he said it was kind of cyclic. And then he's grown to appreciate them. And then what he finally comes to terms with and Get a Life is, he said, I've realized that the fandom exists because of the fandom.
Yeah.
And his argument was, yes, they come to get my autograph, they come to see me, but that's 2 minutes. They have 2 minutes of interaction with me. And he goes, and if I'm a jerk during those 2 minutes, they're going to remember it. But he goes, but the rest of the convention is about them with their fellow fans. And so the book kind of centers on that, which makes me think about, much like you, what I learned about, and what I would assume this is probably true for Ron Perlman. Didn't get to meet him, but I would assume this is true. These are people that, and I can't say this is true for Bruce Willis, but I don't think they suffer fools.
No. And in fact, it's a perfect way to put him. We talked, and I made a slight joke of I'm going to make a joke when we pull you out, but it's not really. And I said, do you mind? And then he gave me shit about Mitch McConnell and we're being in Kentucky. And I reminded him that we were that blueberry in a red state. Yeah. And we got along fine, James.
Well, no, and that's the
entire. Does that encapsulate it both for both of you all?
Yeah.
We got along fine. Saw him. He said hi later, and we were fine.
Well, I was about to say
he was not going to hang out.
No, did you? I don't know if you said you read it or not. Easy Street the Hard Way, his book.
I haven't read it.
He is big on just don't be a jerk. And that he tries to apply that himself, but he just doesn't. Again, I think he's another case that doesn't suffer fools, but he does put his money where his mouth is. And that's actually how the book ends. He talks about, listen, I've been one of these actors that are saying we're not seeing enough underrepresented populations get to write, get to direct. And so that's why he started his own production company. And so that's the origin of that. And so I was like, I think that's it. I think that's, and maybe that's the deal with Bruce Willis, and it gets interpreted differently. But I do think that's the way with Shatner, and I think that's the way with Ron Perlman. Is these are individuals that do not suffer fools. The only time I ever saw Shatner lose his temper was when the people that were supposed to be managing the line, i.e., the convention runners, and it was not any convention we're affiliated with.
No.
Just FYI, this is back when I was just attending. This was in Chicago. But they failed to keep the line in order. And he was like, these people have paid, was his argument. And he goes, let's keep it moving because I want to make sure I can get through everybody. Because if not, it's going to be, hey, Shatner had a panel, but the jerk left and I didn't get my picture.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made me understand that he's just, and I respect that to a certain level, unless it affects me negatively, in which case, why did he do that to me, Joe? Why?
Well, only thing I have to say about it is I am no one. And after 3 days, I don't want to talk to anybody.
No, that's it. Well, and I mean, again, it's how much, and I do appreciate the people that love it and do want to talk about. I think an example of the counterpoint to that is probably Lance Henriksen. How long did Lance Henriksen talk to us?
That's a good one. My other experience would be John C. McGinley and Ray Wise. John McGinley is everything. Chad, this will make you feel happy, bud. Is everything and better.
Awesome.
Seriously.
And
awesome. Genuinely. He corrected me because I said the word bitch and there was a kid in the crowd.
By the way, though, isn't that funny that
he is a talked it before, talked after, answered every question. I mean,
that's awesome.
Isn't it funny though that is a character that is nothing but kind, or an individual that is nothing but kind, but does great job when he's cast to play an absolute jerk.
Yeah, well, he told me how he did it, but I mean, it's a story probably for another episode.
Oh yeah. Let's not burn through all our material. We've got 400 more shows to do.
He told a very heartwarming story. I had a really good time those 3 days, and 2 or 3 of those panels went really well, and that could you could interview me about interviewing 3 of those panels, and I could do an hour.
Yeah, no, I would believe it.
I'll be more than happy to tell you all later.
You need to self-publish a book in about 10 years called, The Big Con or something, and write about your experience interviewing people.
I talk to who. Yeah, I mean, or if I don't forget, I'm terrible about forgetting things. Somebody corrected me the other day because I always post that picture of Karen Gillan and I, just because I think it's funny and she's so famous now. And at the time I wasn't overly starstruck, and I don't think I would be now either. But they were talking
it's getting harder for me to get.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But they were talking about about how tall she was. And I swear to God, in my mind, she was just a little person. And then I looked it up. I was like, no, she's 5'11". I don't remember her being 5'11".
No.
So I don't already in my head, she was 5'2" and 110 pounds. I don't know why. And you look at the picture, she's clearly the same height as me. That's the reason why I went and looked it up, because somebody was like, she's really tall. And I was like, no, she wasn't. And he's like, I'm pretty sure she is. And then they posted, look at the post. They post a picture of them. She's a foot taller than the person that's above. And then I started like, oh shit, that's not how I remember her at all. I remember us talking about Kubrick and horror films.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good times. So yes, this has been our No Topic episode where we have covered modern day illnesses, Oscar debates, and why we're all looking forward to new movies, even though they won't get nominated for Oscars because it's an unjust society.
Well, maybe Michelle Yeoh will finally get one.
Yeah, she deserves one for all her work on Star Trek.
All right, guys. This has been Bonehead.
Oh, before you stop hitting record, the other thing I'm excited for, anybody else see that Picard season 3 trailer? I tell you, good times.
No, this has been Bonehead. We did 2 episodes on Star Trek. Big Strong's going to start screaming at us.